Hello there and a very good morning and welcome to the Breakfast Rundown with me Zulfick Farzan. Well, a lot of developments are taking place following the swearing in of the new president of Sri Lanka, Kumar Dissanayake. We'll have details on those stories right after this breaking news. Now, in some breaking news, the International Monetary Fund has said that it is looking forward to working with the new Sri Lankan President Kumar Dissanayake and his team towards building on the hard-won gains that have helped put Sri Lanka on a path to recovery, economic recovery, I beg your pardon, since entering into one of the worst crises in the history of Sri Lanka in 2022. Now, Kumar Dissanayake was elected as Sri Lanka's president on Sunday following a second round runoff. Now, the elections were the first since the unrest in 2022 that led to the resignation and departure from the country of the then President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, who is widely blamed for the economic crisis gripping Sri Lanka. Now, the 55-year-old AKD secured victory over opposition leader Sajith Premadasa and then President Ranil Wickremesinghe, who took over the country 2 years ago after its economy hit rock bottom. Now, Dissanayake received a total of 5.7 million votes, including the preferential votes, followed by Premadasa, who secured 4.5 million. Now, it was a remarkable turnaround for Kumar Dissanayake, who was once termed as 3%, who in the 2019 election. Now, he will now inherit the governance of a nation that is struggling to emerge from the shadow of that crisis and a populace that is desperate for change. Now, in related news, the International Monetary Fund has also welcomed the announcement of an agreement in principle between Sri Lanka and the international bondholders' representatives, subject to confirmation on comparability of treatment by Sri Lanka's Official Creditors Committee. Now, a spokesperson for the International Monetary Fund speaking to Newsfirst exclusively said that this represents significant progress in Sri Lanka's debt restructuring process. Now, the spokesperson added that the IMF will discuss the timing of the third review of the IMF-supported program with the new administration as soon as practicable. Now, Sri Lanka announced that it reached agreements in principle on the restructuring of approximately $17.5 billion of external commercial debt as of December 2023. Now, these agreements were reached with the holders of international sovereign bonds following negotiations with the ad hoc group of bondholders, a representative of group of international investors, and the local consortium of Sri Lanka, a representative group of domestic financial institutions. Now, Sri Lanka also announced that it finalized an agreement in principle with the China Development Bank on the key financial terms of the restructuring of approximately $3.3 billion. Now, the agreements in principle were approved by the former Cabinet of Ministers. Now, speaking of Cabinet of Ministers, now following the resignation of Dinesh Gunawardena yesterday as the Prime Minister, the Cabinet was disbanded or ceased to exist. Now, the new Cabinet will be sworn in a ceremony today morning. Dr. Nihal Abesinghe, who is the General Secretary of the National People's Power, confirmed that the new Cabinet of Ministers will be sworn in this morning, including the new Prime Minister. He also said that Lakshman Nipunarachi, whose name was gazetted as a new MP to fill the seat left vacant by Kumar Dissanayake after he became president, will also be sworn in as a new cabinet minister. Now, accordingly, the new cabinet will have 4 ministers. Now, Dr. Nihal Abesinghe also said that new ministry secretaries will also be appointed during the day. Now, Sri Lanka's new president has been active on the first day of assuming office and after being swearing in. Now, the first thing that he did was he visited Kandy and then obtained the blessings of the sacred tooth. Now, he visited the Dalada Maligawa in Kandy and obtained blessings from the sacred tooth relic, and he was welcomed at the premises by Diyawardana Nilame of the Dalada Maligawa, or the Temple of the Sacred Tooth Relic, Nilanga Dala. Thereafter, he engaged in several religious observances as well. The president also signed the guest book at the Sri Dalada Maligawa following his visit. Now, at the same time, following the visit to the Sri Dalada Maligawa, the newly elected president, Anura Kumara Dissanayake, called on the most venerable Mahanayaka Theros of the Malwathu and Asgiri chapters. The president first visited the Malwathu Mahavihara, where he met with the most venerable Tibetuave Sri Sumangala Mahanayaka Thero and engaged in cordial discussions. The Mahanayaka Thero is from the Malwathu chapter. Blessings were also invoked by the monks of the Malwathu chapter on the new president. Now thereafter, President Anura Kumara Dissanayake visited the Asgiri Mahavihara, where he met with the Mahanayaka Thero of the Asgiri chapter, the most venerable Varakagoda Sri Yanaratana Thero. During his visit to the Asgiri Mahavihara, the president also obtained blessings. At the same time, the president also visited the bishop's house in Colombo, where he met with His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit, the Archbishop of Colombo. Now, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit expressed his congratulations to President Anura Kumara Dissanayake on his election as the country's president. Now, he had acknowledged that the people have entrusted the new president with the significant responsibility of bringing about the necessary changes in the country, a task that may prove challenging. Now, the Cardinal assured the President of his full support and blessings in this endeavor and urged him to prioritize the needs of the poor in his efforts. Now, at the same time, in response to a question raised by journalists, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit mentioned that the President had assured him of his commitment to thoroughly investigate the horrific Easter Sunday attacks and take steps towards uncovering the truth behind these attacks. Now, at the same time, in Colombo, the president also visited the Dautagaha Muslim Mosque in Colombo. The president also engaged in discussions and religious observances with those present at the Dautagaha Mosque in Colombo. Now, moving on, Sri Lanka's police has said that no incidents of violence have been reported so far during the post-election period. Now, DIG and police spokesperson Attorney at Law Nihal Taldur said that the public is urged to maintain the peaceful atmosphere in the coming days as well. Now, moving on, the whole political sphere in Sri Lanka is abuzz following a new development that took place late last evening. Now, the United National Party has decided to form a new common alliance featuring all the opposition political parties represented in Parliament to address the upcoming elections and also the political situation. Now, this decision was made at a leadership meeting of the United National Party that took place at the political office of former President Ranil Wickremesinghe down Flower Road in Colombo. Now, the proposal itself was put forward by Ranil Wickremesinghe. Now, accordingly, former President Wickremesinghe has instructed to invite all parties, including the Samaji Janabalawegya and other political parties in the opposition, for meetings to coordinate the formation of this new common political alliance. Now, at the same time, Sri Lanka's newly appointed Defence Secretary, Air Vice Marshal Sampath Tuyakonta, who is also retired, has pledged to take steps to control any threats to the country's national security. Now, the Defence Secretary officially assumed duties in his new appointment at the Defence Ministry at the Defence Headquarters Complex in Akuregoda. Now, soon after assuming duties in his new appointment as the Defence Secretary, he chaired a special session with the defence heads, including the additional secretaries of the Defence Ministry, the Chief of the Defence Staff, and the Tri-Forces commanders. Now, the new Defence Secretary has also emphasized his commitment to enhancing the efficiency of the armed forces of Sri Lanka. Now, that's a wrap of this edition of the Breakfast Rundown with me, Zulfick Farzan. But stay with Newsfirst, as we will bring you all the latest details with regard to Sri Lanka's new cabinet under the new administration of Anura Kumara Dissanayake. Until I see you again next time, take care and God bless.
Companies play better politics than the politicians of today.
We are not supposed to play with the people's expectation. Then it will be a huge disaster.
When you're bankrupt and when you're going to bankruptcy, two different.
The grandfather is saying it is going to take this long. What does he know?
It's about lack of sense of humor in Sri Lankans.
Issues that matter the most. Unfiltered discussions. Real answers. Face to face. Monday to Thursday at 8 p.m. on TV1.
We live in a world of progress. But what if progress isn't reaching everyone? Millions of Sri Lankans struggle without access to clean water, safe roads and bridges to a better life. But you have reached out. You have touched their lives. Thank you, Sri Lanka, for making Gammadda the most impactful rural development movement in our nation. Gammadda, for the people, by the people.
සිම්පත හරියට ලියාපදිංචි කරගෙන තියෙන්න ඕන. සමහරව එහෙම දන්නෙත් නැහනේ.
මේ සිම්පත කොයිතරම් වැදගත්ද කියලා මේ දුරකථන පාවිච්චි කරන හැම දෙනාම දන්නේ නැහැ කියලා තමයි මම කියන්නේ.
මැයි වලින් පස්සේ ලොකු ගංවතුර තත්ත්වයක් එන්න නියමිතයි කියලා. කාලගුණ විද්‍යාඥයින් අනතුරු අංගවන පසුබිමක ඔබ කොයි විදිහටද මේ අපේ තෙත්බිම් සම්බන්ධයෙන් දකින්නේ?
කොළඹ නගරයේ තියෙන නාගරික තෙත්බිම් වලින් 21%ක් තියෙන නාගරික තෙත්බිම් වලින් වැසි ජලයෙන් 39%ක් රඳවා ගන්න බව.